Hey, Zane Griggs here. So, have you ever started a diet or made a lifestyle change and then something happened? Something stressful happened or some event that just basically took you off plan and you let it take you off permanently? Basically, you didn't return. You let one little hiccup or you let one sort of, moment of weakness really take you off of the direction and away from the goals that you wanted to complete, wanted to reach. I think we can all relate to that to some area in our lives, but I think it happens quite often with many of us with diet or with lifestyle changes, things we're trying to control. When we're trying to control and manage our health and make an improvement in just the way we live. And at a certain point, that resistance is too strong, okay, for that moment. But instead of picking ourselves back up and continue to move forward, we let it derail us completely. And then what do? We find some way to justify it. We find some way to make an excuse to make us feel better about not continuing forward. That basically dusting ourselves off and getting right back in that same direction. It's either it wasn't meant to be, or like with weight loss, sometimes people, you're just kind of gaining the weight right back again anyway. So why try? Or if there's something happens and we say, oh, it's a sign. It's a sign. We look for these signs to tell us why we can't do something. And even, find a way to just basically justify our fear, And there's a name there's a lot of names for this. Sometimes some call it the ego, some call it resistance. But it's basically a way for us to excuse away the shame of failure and the fear of failure. And that's what it comes down to, it's the fear of failure. And we don't want to look at it because it reminds us of that failure, or the fact that we haven't been able to accomplish that or complete that, and we can't manage that part of our life. And it's really, it's devastating for most of us in some area. And I think really true with our health, really true with diets, because they're so difficult. We have so many distractions with it. There's always an event. It's never a good time. So that's another excuse. So it wasn't a good time. Not a good time to lose weight. It's never a good time. There's always something going on where that's around food. Our culture is around celebrating and or mourning or rewarding with food, and it's usually food that isn't really good for us. I have personal experience with this with actually a book I was trying to write. I had the bulk of it written, sitting in my hard drive from a year, 2 years, not quite sure of what it needed something, had something missing, make excuses, and then eventually I just stopped looking at it. I stopped working on it because it was just reminding me that I didn't complete something. I just couldn't get it done. It wasn't right. It wasn't the way I wanted. So I just stopped looking at it. I stopped trying. And then eventually it's like all of a sudden I got this feeling like I've got to get this off of my list. I've got to get this done no matter what happens, whether people like it or not, whether people buy it or not, whatever it ends up being. I've got, if I'm going to fail with it, I'm going to fail forward. If I'm going to falling forward, because right now it's such a hang-up, it's such an issue, or it was such an issue, that it was keeping me from moving forward. And I think that's true with anything we've let go. We know we have this little voice in us, right, telling us, you need to do this. You need to get this done. This is an area where you need to complete this, or you need to take charge of it. You need to manage this for your own good, for your own future. And when we set it aside, it holds us back. It holds us back from moving forward. It keeps us in mediocrity. We have this the big voice is the one that says, don't do that, you'll fail, it'll hurt, and make you feel shame about it. And even to the point of helping you make those excuses, or finding other people around you to validate those excuses who are in the same place, who feel uncomfortable, who would feel uncomfortable if you move forward, because it makes them feel like they aren't moving forward. They're staying in their mediocrity. But it basically keeps us in a mediocre place, right? In a place that keeps us from growing. And eventually, I mean, it was funny. Once I made up my mind to finish that book, it was like a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. It's like the time I had the ability to make the time. I could make the decisions. I got close. I started getting feedback. Asked for feedback from the people who were close to me, the people who would have some insight, and got them to speak into it. Got support from them. And in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks, wrapped up all the missing pieces that I didn't even know were there. hadn't created, hadn't written, found a printer, added an interactive aspect to it, did all the editing. It's finished, done. Thank you. You know, before the end of the year, I said, I got to get this done. Or it's just going to bother me so much that it's going to affect other areas of my life. And that's what we have to do. We have to tell the big voice that's telling us to, you know, protect yourself from failure, protect yourself from that shame or from what other people might think of it, and or of you if you do fail or if you succeed. Either one, we often fear just the result. But we know we need to do it. And we have to tell the big voice to shut up, essentially, because it's holding us back. And we have to tell it to shut up because you have bigger plans for yourself than just staying right where you are. And if you can, get your people around you, get your support together, people who encourage you and who give you feedback and give you good ideas or good, you know, support, accountability, and you get those people in place, and you move forward with the mindset of, I may fail 2 or 3 times, I may make some mistakes, I may fall off the wagon, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to pick myself up and keep going. Because I know really deep down that that's what I need to do. That's what needs to be done. In order to get out of the comfort zone and to move forward. So, if you can relate, I'd love to hear from you. Post in the comments. You know someone who could benefit from this, please share. And I look forward to talking to you later.